In a desolate volcanic cave, a lone knight finds ancient claw marks etched in the stone. They tell a silent story of untold power and forbidden magic. Amid the echoing shadows, a voice emerges, a human voice reciting verses in the tongue of dragons. The unexpected cadence speaks of a lost legacy, a bond between two worlds once divided by fear and tradition. These claw marks, these haunting words, hint at a secret history buried in the fiery depths. This is not a tale of ordinary valor, but of a royal infant stolen in the midst of a ruthless coup and raised by a wounded, defiant dragon. In these depths, the knight steps into a mystery where honor collides with destiny and the ancient laws of dragons are broken. What dark truths will be unearthed in this forbidden union? Mystery and fate intertwine in every echo of the ancient, lost stone. In the once glorious kingdom of Eldrith, dark betrayal shattered the peace. A fierce coup swept through the palace, toppling the noble rulers and leaving chaos in its wake. The night was thick with fear as enemies clashed and torches turned proud halls into flickering infernos. High above this turmoil, a lone dragon with broken wings and scarred scales soared across a blood-red sky. Though hardened by countless battles, she carried a secret spark of hope inside her heart. That very night, when the palace was ablaze with treachery, the wounded dragon took flight with a hidden mission. Beneath her powerful wings lay a destiny that would change both her kind and the fate of a kingdom. In one quiet, shadowed chamber of the crumbling palace, a tiny royal infant lay abandoned, a symbol of lost legacy amid the chaos. His soft cries echoed in the silence, a gentle plea for survival amidst the storm of betrayal. Landing silently atop the ruined roof, the dragon crept into the palace with careful, measured steps. Her keen eyes found the infant, wrapped in faded silks and lying in a cradle of neglect. In that tense, charged moment, she made a choice that defied ancient laws. Dragon law forbade any bond with humans, for such ties were seen as dangerous and unholy. Yet, the small child shone like a spark of hope, calling her to break a rule that had bound her kind for centuries. With tenderness that belied her fierce exterior, the dragon gathered the infant in her mighty claws. She cradled him close, her scaled body providing warmth and protection against the bitter cold of betrayal. With the baby secure, she spread her wounded wings and fled the burning palace, leaving behind the smoldering remnants of a fallen dynasty. Their journey led them over rugged lands and secret valleys where nature still whispered ancient magic. In one hidden valley, shielded by towering trees and soft, murmuring winds, the dragon built a sanctuary for her precious charge. Here, amid the wild beauty of untouched lands, she vowed to nurture the lost prince. Under her careful guidance, the infant learned the art of swordplay from the echoes of old battles and the mysteries of volcanic alchemy from nature's secret fires. Day by day, the child grew stronger and more determined, straddling the fragile line between human passion and the enduring might of dragons. Thus began the tale of the hatchling prince, a story born of fire, betrayal, and a forbidden love that bridged two worlds. This unlikely union, forged in the depths of despair, set the stage for a destiny that would soon shake the very foundations of Eldrith. In the hidden valley, life took on a rhythm of both peace and quiet strength. Under the watchful care of the dragon, the lost prince began to grow into a young man unlike any other. His days were split between learning the art of swordplay and the secret ways of volcanic alchemy. Each morning, the dragon would lead him to a clearing where ancient trees and soft moss provided a training ground. There, the prince practiced with a wooden sword, his small hands slowly gaining skill and confidence as he learned the art of battle. His movements, though unrefined at first, grew stronger and more deliberate with every swing. Afternoons were spent near a gentle volcano whose warmth held the secrets of fire and stone. The dragon taught him how the molten rock could be shaped and hardened, much like his own spirit. The prince would watch closely as she gathered shimmering embers and small clumps of rock, showing him how to coax strength and resilience from the earth. It was in these quiet moments that he learned about balance, between the fierce heat of the flame and the cool calm of stone. But as the days passed, hints of his true nature began to emerge. The prince was not like any ordinary child. His eyes sometimes sparked with an inner fire when he felt deep emotion, and his skin would glow faintly like heated metal during moments of intense focus. Even his voice carried a hint of the dragon's deep, resonant timbre when he laughed or spoke in the quiet of the night. These signs were a mystery that set him apart, hinting at a power that was both human and something more. The dragon, wise in the ways of both magic and heart, saw these changes with a mix of wonder and concern. She knew that the union of human and dragon traits was not just rare, it was forbidden by the ancient laws of her kind. Yet, she had chosen to care for him, believing that this unique blend might hold the key to a new future. With each lesson in swordplay and every experiment in volcanic alchemy, the prince grew, and so did the questions about his true identity. His dual nature was a source of strength, but it also brought with it a deep, unsettling uncertainty. In the flickering light of the volcanic glow, the young prince's journey took on a weighty significance. Every swing of his sword and every spark of volcanic fire deepened the mystery of who he was meant to become, setting the stage for a destiny that would soon challenge the old laws of both man and beast. Deep in the hidden valley, the dragon wrestled with a weighty decision. Her heart still burned for the lost prince, yet an ancient duty tugged at her spirit. For generations, her kind had vowed silence and secrecy, and any breach of that oath was met with dire consequences. But the uncertainty of the prince's dual nature and the hope for guidance drove her to take a fateful step. She reached out to the human scholars. Under a sky studded with cold, silent stars, the dragon crafted a message in the old tongue, a language few still remembered. Her words spoke of a young man with a rare blend of human courage and draconic power, of a life nurtured against all odds. She pleaded for wisdom and help, believing that these scholars might unlock the mysteries of his unusual gifts and perhaps bring a new era of understanding between two worlds. No sooner had her message been sent than a chain reaction rippled through the realm. Far beyond the valley, in the rugged outskirts of Eldrith, royal scouts began to notice an unsettling change. Fires had broken out in the wildlands, small at first, but quickly growing into vast, uncontrollable blazes. These wildfires burned with a strange intensity, their heat and glow hinting at hidden forces at work. The natural order of fire and ash was disrupted, and the abnormal patterns caught the careful eyes of the kingdom's best trackers. Armed with ancient maps and keen senses, the royal scouts set out to trace the source of the unnatural inferno. Their journey led them on a winding path across rugged hills and through misty forests. With every step, the fire's reach grew more evident, a signal of chaos that could not be ignored by the crown. The scouts pieced together clues: the unusual direction of the flames, the rapid spread that defied the norms of nature, and whispers among local villagers about strange happenings in a secret valley. Back in the valley, the dragon's heart sank as she sensed the rising danger. Her decision to seek help from the human scholars, born of love and desperation, now threatened to unravel the fragile peace she had worked so hard to preserve. The broken oath, once a quiet secret, had become a beacon for those who guarded the old ways, a call that the royal family could not overlook. In that moment, the valley grew heavy with foreboding. The dragon realized that her hope might have sown the seeds of her greatest regret. The winds carried the scent of burning embers, and the distant march of royal scouts promised that the fragile sanctuary she had built was about to be invaded by the harsh light of destiny. Under the dim light of dusk, the prince stepped out from the hidden valley, his eyes fixed on the horizon where a formidable army gathered. The soldiers, clad in heavy armor and bearing a crest known to the royal line, marched steadily. At their head was a stern figure, a man whose very presence spoke of power and a legacy steeped in ancient honor. The prince felt a shiver of both dread and resolve. Here, in the face of his birth father's invading force, the truth of his past came crashing down. The invading army had come to reclaim what they believed was rightfully theirs, a throne lost in the mists of treachery. Their boots pounded the earth, their swords gleamed in the fading light, and their resolve was as unyielding as the stone of old walls. Trained in the arts of swordplay and volcanic alchemy by the dragon who had raised him, the prince now stood ready. His stance was firm, his grip on his sword steady, and every lesson from his unusual upbringing echoed in his determined eyes. High above the battlefield, the dragon soared against the darkening sky. Her keen eyes saw not just the enemy but the ties of kinship among her own kind, the very forces bound by ancient laws that had long kept dragons apart from humans. The sight of her charge facing the army stirred a deep, protective fury within her. Torn between the duty imposed by old traditions and the fierce love she felt for the prince, she made a choice that defied the rigid codes of her people. With a roar that split the still air, the dragon dove toward the battlefield. Her mighty wings carried her swiftly as she prepared to confront those who had once been her kin. She would not allow the prince to be caught in a war fueled by old grudges and the relentless pursuit of lost honor. Instead, she would protect him, even if that meant standing against the very blood of her ancestors. As the prince met the oncoming soldiers with a clash of steel and defiant sparks, the dragon unleashed torrents of flame from her maw. The heat and light battled the encroaching darkness, turning the field into a searing canvas of fire and blood. In that fraught moment, the destinies of man and beast intertwined. The prince, standing tall against the tide of the past, faced not only the invaders but the legacy of his own bloodline. And the dragon, caught between ancient duty and her fierce love, chose to rewrite the rules, ready to fight for a future where honor and family could finally unite. Steel met steel. Sparks flew as the prince's blade clashed with that of the royal commander, his own birth father. The king's eyes, hard as tempered iron, studied the young warrior before him. There was no doubt. This was his son, the heir stolen in the dead of night so many years ago. But what stood before him now was no ordinary prince. The fire in the boy's veins, the unearthly glow of his skin when his emotions flared. He was something else entirely. Something unnatural. A sudden roar tore through the battlefield. From above, the dragon descended, her massive form casting a shadow over the blood-stained ground. Flames erupted from her jaws, forcing soldiers to scatter, but the king did not flinch. Instead, his blade found its mark. A deep, brutal strike. The prince turned just in time to see his dragon, his mother in all but blood, collapse, crimson spilling across the battlefield. A scream tore from his throat, not of fear, but of something deeper, ancient, primal. His entire body convulsed as something inside him cracked open. Pain, heat, a searing transformation. His sword slipped from his fingers as his arm began to harden, veins of molten gold creeping up his skin, turning flesh to something else. Something stronger, something no human had ever become. The prince stood between two dying figures, one crowned, one scaled, as the fire in his veins finally erupted. And then, darkness.